The sky opened before you with a tremor that does not announce destruction, but reveals the sign of the new time. The invisible columns of eternity trembled, and an intense light pierced the veils that separated your heart from the promise. I speak to you now, and every word you receive is living fire inscribed upon your soul. Hear, for you were called by your name from the beginning, and nothing can stop what is being revealed. The powers bowed down, and even the silence of the universe became reverence to the decree that reaches you. The scene unfolding is not a dream, it is a spiritual reality more solid than any stone your feet have ever touched. Your tears were not forgotten. Every night you laid your face upon the pillow, carrying pains no one knew how to understand was recorded. The muffled sound of your sobs crossed the firmament and echoed before the eternal throne. No pain passed unnoticed, no wound remained unseen. I was sent to tell you that your days of silence were not in vain. The one who knows the deepest parts of your heart sent me as a living answer, to remind you that you were never alone, not for a moment. Even when you believed that everything was lost, invisible hands sustained your breath, and your life was kept by direct order of the Most High. Listen, you have been in battles no one could see. Forces you did not understand rose against you, trying to weaken your hope and break your faith. But the Lord of hosts did not allow you to be overcome. He placed me as a sentinel at your side, and when the darkness tried to close your paths, I raised the sword to prevent your fall. Many times you thought you survived by chance, but it was not chance. It was protection. It was an invisible wall raised around you. It was the divine hand opening a way through thorns and shadows. And that is why you are here today, alive, ready to hear what you never thought you would hear. The authority that reaches you now is not human. It comes from the one who commands all things with the power of his word. He is the judge who overturns unjust sentences, the king who moves nations with a gesture, the father who never abandons his beloved child. He is the one who writes your story, not the decrees of the earth, not the opinions of men, not the records of failing systems. When he determines, the sea opens, the mountain moves, the impossible bends. It is in the name of this power that I come to you, not with empty words, but with the certainty that your life has entered a new season. You will no longer walk in the valley as one without direction, for the light that descended from above now illuminates your next step. The Most High has moved all of heaven on your behalf. I saw walls of fire surround your house. I saw rivers of light poured upon your hands. I saw ancient gates open before you. Even wounds were borne by those who guard your life, because great is the value of the calling you carry. I, Archangel Michael, fought for you in places you could not enter, and every blow received was proof that you are too precious to be left at the mercy of the enemy. Do not underestimate your value, for if the heavens moved in such a way, it is because there is upon you a mark no man can erase. Now listen to what is decreed. Doors closed for years begin to open before you. Old chains break, and the health that seemed impossible to restore returns as freshness to your body and vigor to your mind. A peace descends like gentle fire, burning anxieties and calming inner storms. I announce abundance flowing like a river, not only to supply your needs, but to overflow in your house, in your family, and in all who come near you. None of this is a distant promise. It is a reality already beginning to manifest, even if your human eyes cannot comprehend its dimension. What I ask of you is simple and profound. Open your heart and say yes. Your response releases rivers that were dammed. Your obedience heals invisible wounds. not only yours, but also of angels who battled around you. When you say yes, chains dissolve, walls fall, heavens open. Do not underestimate the power of your decision, for it is a key that opens storehouses, a spark that lights torches, a voice that awakens new days. Your surrender is not weakness, it is strength that multiplies miracles. Look back and understand, every tear became a seed of harvest. Every silence was a field where the Lord planted victories. Every pain was fertile ground for a testimony that cannot be silenced. Nothing was wasted. Even what you believed to be destruction was soil prepared for a new beginning. Now it is time to see a garden where there was desert, to hear song where there was silence, to touch abundance where there was lack. The invisible is becoming tangible before you. Do not believe that all this is chance. Everything was written in the book of life before your birth. Every detail, every bend in the road was shaped by the Lord's hand so that today you would be here. He moved heavens and earth, altered apparent destinies, and even used stones on the way as steps toward your victory. What seemed delay was preparation. What seemed loss was adjustment. What seemed end was seed of a new beginning. Now the eyes open to see not the visible that deceives, but the invisible that sustains. The exact time has come, and now receive the sign. Heaven has given you a check, written by the divine hand, signed by the Creator himself, carrying values no human system can calculate. A check of trillions deposited in your name, not as earthly currency, but as a covenant of abundance, health, restoration, and legacy. An earthly banker saw numbers that defied his reason, but he did not understand that each digit represents eternal promises, peace that cannot be broken, doors of influence opening, healing established, opportunities rising like dawn. Every zero is overflow extending to your children and future generations. This check is not paper, it is decree. It is not transaction, it is covenant. It is not a single deposit, it is a river that never dries. Thus I tell you, your life has shifted dimensions. The covenant has been sealed, and your story will never end in emptiness. The eternal seal is upon you. I stood before that altar and witnessed the moment your name was whispered in the highest place of heaven. I, Michael, saw the flaming signature that declared, "This is my chosen one and now walks in overflow." Receive then what is yours, not with unbelief, but with living faith, for eternity has just touched your reality, and nothing will be as before. I saw your quietest nights, when your tears were kept like hidden pearls. I saw the battles that no one noticed, the attacks that tried to suffocate your hope in secret. My heart did not close, and each cry of yours echoed louder than any accusation. I sent messengers in silence, and they sustained your life when the shadow tried to extinguish your flame. No moment went unnoticed, no pain was in vain, no sigh of yours was lost. The whole heaven leaned down to hear your fragile voice, and it was precisely this fragility that became strength before God. You walked through the days as one who drags chains you did not choose to carry. Inside you there was a weight that seemed unmovable, and many times you believed there were no eyes turned toward your struggle. But I tell you, even the wind that brushed your face in each dawn was divine breath, reminding you that you were not alone. There were moments when the entire world seemed mute before your pain, but silence did not mean absence. It was preparation for the sound of victory that now begins to echo. For every tear shed, an answer was released. For every hidden groan, a promise was rekindled. You thought no one perceived the intensity of the battle raging within you, but the heavens saw and the heavens moved. When your heart shattered, invisible hands gathered the fragments and kept them in vessels of honor. When your faith seemed like a thread about to break, heavenly forces held that thread and turned it into an unbreakable cord. Even your most subtle thought, when you believed there was no more strength to go on, was recorded, and it was not forgotten. I saw the darkness trying to extinguish the spark of hope in your eyes, but I also saw the hand of the Most High rekindling that spark, turning it into a flame that does not go out. The battles you faced were not small. There were invisible arrows shot against you. There were hidden voices trying to bury your identity. There were chains trying to paralyze your future. But none of these forces prevailed, because greater was the decree already written about you. The spiritual wars were not just attacks against your days, they were assaults against the promise you carry. That is why the struggle was so intense. That is why the burdens seemed so heavy. But even so, you remained. Perhaps not with the same strength at every moment, but you remained. And that is a victory greater than any medal. Do not underestimate the resilience that dwells in you, for it is a sign that you were chosen to endure and to overcome. I was placed as guardian by your side. I, Archangel Michael, fought in battles you could never understand, and each time you believed you were on the edge of falling, my raised sword opened passage through the darkness. I saw forces retreat before the authority of the light. I saw walls crumble without your feet moving. I saw traps destroyed before you even touched them. And do not think that this protection was ordinary, for it was established by order of the eternal God, who declared before all the heavens, "This life is mine, and no one will be able to snatch it from my hand." I stood before this decree, and there is no escape from it, because the word of the Lord is irrevocable. Now you must understand, nothing you endured was in vain. Every long night, every painful silence, every invisible tear, all became part of a greater story. It was not punishment, it was not abandonment, it was the preparation for a revelation that now begins to unfold before you. The ground of your pain became fertile soil where heavenly seeds were planted. The tears were like water, watering those seeds, and the time to sprout has come. You are no longer the same as before. The one who walked through entire nights carrying weight will now see the sun rise as a sign of deliverance. The one who believed he was imprisoned will discover that the chains have already been broken without even noticing the moment they snapped. I know that many times the loneliness seemed greater than everything. You looked around and did not find anyone who truly understood what was happening inside you. But I tell you, you were not alone. The very God walked with you in every step, and I was at your side as a witness that no shadow could possess your heart. Even when you felt forgotten, the Most High whispered your name before the throne, reminding the entire universe that you were and always will be loved. Do not allow the memory of past pains to erase this truth. You were loved in the silence. You were guarded in the emptiness. You were sustained in the fall. Now the time has changed. What was only pain has become a portal for your victory. What seemed like ruin has become the foundation for your rebuilding. What seemed like silence has become the prelude to a new song. And this song will be heard not only by you, but by all those around you. Your story will not be marked by lament, but by triumph. Your future will not be remembered by darkness, but by the light that was kindled in the midst of it. The life that seemed too small to contain promises now expands, because the decree that is fulfilled is greater than any human limit. I, Michael, tell you, you are living witness that the faithfulness of God does not fail. If you endured until now, it was not by your strength, it was by His strength that enveloped you. If you remained standing, it was not because you were unshakable, it was because He sustained you. when everything within you wanted to collapse. Now take this certainty into your heart. You will not only survive, you will flourish. The breath that kept your flame burning will now become the wind that spreads this light. And where before there were only tears, laughter will spring forth. Where before there was only weight, wings will sprout. Where before there was only darkness, a dawn will rise that no one will be able to extinguish. I am the one who cannot be measured, the judge who overturns unjust sentences, the general who commands armies the human eye cannot see, the Father who does not let your foot falter. My decree does not depend on earthly councils. My order cannot be resisted by empires or walls. I speak and it comes to pass, for in me there is no shadow of doubt, and in me your destiny finds security. And it is with this certainty that I speak to you, so that you may understand that you are not before a fragile hope, but before an unchanging word that upholds heavens and earth. You looked to human courts, to voices of authority that rose against you, and you thought they were final. But no human pen writes your end, for there already exists a greater signature upon your life. Even when they tried to condemn you with unjust words, there was a higher sentence decreeing your freedom. Even when systems tried to confine you in limitations, there was an eternal decree opening your ways. Listen well, nothing can override what has been determined in heaven. No contrary decree, no perverse judgment, no weight of accusation can withstand what has already been sealed by the Eternal. You walked many times as one who carries labels you did not ask for, marks you did not desire, stories that others tried to attach to you. But I tell you that the true judge tore those papers. There is no accusation that can survive before the throne of divine justice. You are free from sentences that imprisoned you. You are free from words that wounded you. You are free from judgments that did not correspond to what I declared over you. And this freedom is not only a momentary relief, it is a liberation that opens portals for new beginnings. What once was weight now becomes wings. What once was a shackle now becomes a key that opens your new story. I know that your eyes many times fixed themselves on the strength of enemies, and that your heart trembled before giants that seemed insurmountable. But I remind you, I am the general who commands armies you cannot see. No adversary is greater than the power that rises on your behalf. No enemy can withstand the decree of the Lord of hosts. You are not alone in this battle. You never were. The celestial legions moved around you even when you thought you were forsaken. When darkness seemed to dominate, there were trumpets of war sounding in the unseen, declaring that your victory was already secured. The power that works for you is unshakable, and before it, every opposing force bows. Do not fear those who rose against you, for they do not have the power to define your path. What seemed like an impenetrable wall will now be as sand carried by the wind. What seemed like an eternal prison will be as a door flung wide before you. What seemed like a final sentence will be transformed into testimony that nothing can stop the one who is sustained by the hand of God. I, Archangel Michael, saw battles fought in places your eyes could never behold, and I saw the enemy retreat before the order of the Most High. It was not your sword that won, but the flaming sword that came down from the throne on your behalf. And I bear witness, there is no defeat in you, there is victory already being manifested. Your story will not be remembered for stumbles, but for the God who lifted you up after each fall. It will not be marked by the walls that tried to surround you, but by the doors that opened when there seemed to be no way. Every step you took, even faltering, was sustained by invisible hands. Every word spoken against you was annulled by the voice that calls you beloved, chosen heir. Nothing that was hurled against you will prevail, because your life is written in pages that cannot be torn. And each line of those pages carries promises that are becoming reality now. I know that within you still lingers a shadow of doubt, a silent question whether you will really be able to bear the weight of what is to come. But listen, it is not you who sustains the promise, it is the promise that sustains you. It is not you who carries the burden of victory, it is victory that surrounds you and opens the way. You were called not only to resist but to overcome, not only to survive but to flourish. The voice of the Father declared that you are secure and nothing can take that from you. The decree is irrevocable, and though the world may change, it remains. Now breathe deeply and understand. What was against you has already fallen. What bound you has already been undone. What seemed unshakable has already been removed. Walk with confidence, for the heavens march with you. Walk with boldness, for your life is already covered by the eternal seal. Walk with faith, for you will see with your own eyes what seemed impossible. I, Michael, assure you, there is no power that can withstand the God who has risen on your behalf. The sentences have fallen, the chains have been broken, the walls have crumbled. Now the path is before you, free, open, illuminated by the light that never fades. You will live the fullness of the divine decree, and this fullness cannot be stolen, cannot be interrupted, cannot be forgotten. The story you carried until now was only preparation. What will come from now on will be fulfillment. And when you look back, you will understand that nothing was in vain. You were sustained for this moment, prepared for this revelation, kept for this time. And this is the time when you will rise not as a prisoner, but as a witness of the faithfulness of the Most High. I raised walls of fire around you, and even though the enemy tried, he could not cross. I surrounded your life with rivers of light and placed flaming swords in the hands of my celestial ministers. Even Archangel Michael fought for you, and though wounded in battle, he remained standing to protect the value I carry in you. This is the proof of the calling that rests upon your life. What rose in your defense was not the work of men, but the living strength of eternity, declaring to the universe that you are chosen and set apart. No attack managed to break through that wall, because the order that sustains it comes from the throne that never shakes. You often thought that the pressure would be greater than you could bear, but the fire that surrounded you was not to consume you, it was to guard you. That fire ignited as an invisible barrier against arrows you never saw, against darts shot in silence against your soul. While you slept, there were flashes of light burning on the spiritual horizon, preventing the darkness from touching your rest. Even when you awoke with fear without explanation, it was a sign that battles were being fought in your favor, and none of them were lost. Your heart was guarded, your spirit was protected, and your life was preserved because you are a living inheritance of the Most High. I tell you that the wall not only protected you, it also purified paths before you. At every step you took, flames rose up, cleansing the atmosphere around you. What seemed closed suddenly opened because the flame consumed hidden blockages. What seemed heavy suddenly became light because the light dissolved invisible chains. And even if you did not perceive it, every unexpected change, every silent deliverance, every detour that altered your route was part of that blazing wall that I raised. Nothing escaped divine care, nothing was forgotten, nothing went unanswered. At every sigh of yours, the fire responded. The rivers of light that surrounded you were not distant symbols, they were concrete reality in the spiritual world. They flowed around you like uncontained currents, driving away shadows that tried to approach. These luminous waters carried healing, hope, comfort, and strength. When your heart faltered, it was this current that lifted you up. When your feet slipped, it was this river that sustained you. And not only did it guard you, but it also washed you, removing invisible marks that tried to remain in your soul. Today you are not the same as before because you were bathed by this light that penetrated deeper than any wound. I know that questions still remain in you. Many times you questioned why the battle was so intense, why invisible wounds even reached those who fought for you. But listen, this is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of the value you carry. When something is too precious, the enemy invests with all his strength to try to destroy it. But if you have been kept until now, it is because the Most High declared that your life is inviolable. I was present when spiritual voices tried to rise against you, and I saw the greater order silencing each one of them. The decree remained: you are protected, you are guarded, you are marked by the promise. Do not underestimate the intensity of the care you received. You were not only defended from visible dangers, you were guarded from attacks you will never know on this earth. There were nets prepared against you that never even touched you because they were undone before they existed. There were traps dug in silence that never caught your feet because the fire consumed them. There were accusations raised against your name that never even came to be spoken because they were silenced by the decree of heaven. All this because you were set apart, and your life carries an eternal weight that no shadow can erase. Now understand what this calling means. You were not preserved only to survive, you were kept to flourish. The value that rests in you is greater than you imagine. It is not only about you, it is about generations that will be reached through your faithfulness. The fire that protected you is the same that will open paths for those who come after you. The rivers of light that surrounded you are the same that will flow through you to reach others. What you receive is not only protection, it is legacy. And this legacy is already written and sealed. Nothing can steal it because it is established in promises that cannot be broken. I, Archangel Michael, tell you that your life will not be remembered by the fear that tried to surround you, but by the wall that guarded you. It will not be marked by the attacks that came against you, but by the faithfulness of God that always sustained you. The enemy tried to cross, but could not. He tried to wound, but did not prevail. He tried to steal, but found fire in his path. And every time he retreated, it was a testimony that there is upon you a protection that cannot be defeated. This truth will be your banner, and many will see in you living proof that divine care is real, deep, and constant. Your story will not end in silence, but in radiance. You were guarded not to walk hidden, but to be light in the midst of darkness. The same fire that protected you will now shine through you. The same river that surrounded you will now flow from within you. The same decree that kept you will now be proclaimed as testimony. And all who look at you will recognize that you were sustained by something greater than yourself. They will see invisible walls around you. They will feel the strength that surrounds you. They will understand that your life is not common, but marked by eternal purpose. I open doors that had been locked for years, and no lock can resist my hand. I restore the health of your body. I bring peace, gentle as fire that warms without consuming. I pour out abundance that runs like an uncontained river. My decree is not a wish, it is certainty. You will not walk in lack, because my favor already rests upon you. What seemed unreachable now draws near. What seemed distant now becomes reality before your eyes. I move the invisible gears of time and earth to align everything in your favor. You have asked yourself many times why doors remained closed. why opportunities fled from your hands, why paths seemed blocked. But today I tell you that the time of waiting has ended. That which seemed sealed by forces greater than you now opens effortlessly before you. And it is not your strength that pushes the doors, it is the breath of the eternal that removes the bolts. When you cross through, you will realize that the delay was not neglect, but preparation. What was once closed held treasures that were not ready to be delivered. Now, in the perfect time, they are revealed to you. Your health, which seemed weakened, will be restored. Not only the health of the body, but also of the soul and the mind. I pour upon you a gentle oil that penetrates the areas where pain and weariness had settled. Where there was weight, there will be lightness. Where there was fatigue, there will be vigor. Where there was wound, there will be scar that does not hurt, but that testifies of victory. Do not fear the signs of wear, for I declare freshness over your life. With each breath, new energy invades your being. With each step, renewal accompanies you. With each morning, new strength is born with you. You will no longer walk in exhaustion, but in fullness. I also give you peace, not the fragile peace that the world offers, but the firm peace that sustains even in the midst of storms. This peace is like fire that warms without destroying, like flame that illuminates without blinding. It is a constant presence that calms your thoughts, silences voices of confusion, and dissipates fears that surrounded you. This peace does not depend on external circumstances because it is born from within. It springs from the eternal fountain that dwells in you. When the chaos around you tries to swallow you, this peace will be your wall. When the voices of doubt try to echo, this peace will be your shield. You will walk serene even in the midst of war, because you will carry within you an unshakable certainty. I pour out abundance like a river that cannot be contained. Abundance in your home, in your relationships, in your projects. It is not only material abundance, it is abundance of life, of hope, of joy. It is overflow that touches everything you touch. Where there was lack, there will be plenty. Where there was need, there will be multiplication. Where there were closed doors, there will be open corridors. You will not see only enough supply, you will see overflow. Not only for you, but also for those who walk by your side. You will be a channel of abundance because the river that flows in you does not dry, does not fail, does not stop. You must understand that this is not a distant promise. It is already happening. Even now, invisible gears are turning, connections are forming, heavens are opening. You are used to fighting to conquer, but now you will see doors opening before you without effort. This is not human favor, it is divine intervention. It is the sign that your time has changed, that the season has turned, that the cycle has renewed. Where before you pushed and nothing happened, now it will be enough to take a step, and you will find an open path. Where before you knocked and there was no answer, now the door opens at the first touch. I know your mind still tries to understand how this will happen, but I tell you, do not seek logic, seek faith. Do not try to understand the details, just receive, because what is happening does not come from the earth, it comes from heaven. What has moved in your favor did not come from the will of men, it came from the heart of the eternal. And what comes from his heart is irrevocable. No one can close what he has opened. No one can steal what he has delivered. No one can silence what he has decreed. You are heir of promises that do not fade, of words that do not return empty, of covenants that cannot be broken. I, Archangel Michael, was witness to this decree. I saw the moment when your name was written in flaming letters in the book of abundance. I witnessed the instant when the eternal seal was placed upon you, ensuring that nothing would be lacking in your journey. I fought against forces that tried to prevent this delivery, but none resisted the order of the Most High. Now I come to announce to you that the victory is yours, not as something distant, but as reality that is already manifesting. What was once only promise is now harvest. What was once only hope is now fulfillment. What was once only vision is now life. Walk, therefore, with boldness. Do not fear what will come, because everything has already been prepared. Do not hesitate before the open doors, because they were made for you. Do not doubt the favor, because it rests upon your life like a mantle that cannot be taken away. Walk with confidence, because every step you take will be accompanied by signs of confirmation. Walk firmly, because every word you hear now is lamp for your feet and light for your path. Walk in peace, because you are no longer guided by fear, but by the certainty that you have been marked by eternal favor. And when you look back, you will understand that every wait was worth it. Every tear was watered in fertile soil. Every silence was space for the promise to grow. Nothing was lost. Everything converged to this moment. This is the time of your revelation. This is the time of your abundance. This is the time of your victory. I call you to say yes, my chosen one. Do not hide. Do not refuse the breath that releases rivers of miracles. Your act of obedience is not symbolic. It is strength that heals wounded angels. It is the key that opens invisible storehouses. When your heart surrenders, the atmosphere is transformed, and the invisible invades the visible with power. Do not underestimate the impact of your yes, because it is the bridge between the promise and the fulfillment, between heaven and earth, between what you waited for in silence and what now begins to blossom. Your yes has greater weight than your logic can comprehend. It moves spiritual gears, opens sealed books, awakens dormant promises. When you surrender, the throne of the Most High rises in your defense. Ancient decrees are remembered, and voices of accusation are silenced. The yes that is born in the depths of your heart echoes in the heavens like a trumpet of victory, and it not only transforms your destiny, but reaches generations that will come after you. Because every act of obedience is like a stone thrown into deep waters, creating waves that extend far beyond you. Do not fear what you will lose by saying yes. Nothing that is given up will compare to what you will receive. What seems like renunciation is, in fact, access. What seems like leaving behind is, in fact, the key to entering something greater. What seems like sacrifice is, in fact, seed for an abundant harvest. Your yes will never be empty. It is accompanied by provision, by direction, by protection. When you say yes, eternity itself moves in your favor, and what was distant runs toward you. I know that many times fear tries to whisper in your ear, saying that your yes will expose you, that your surrender will make you fragile, that your trust will leave you vulnerable. But listen, your yes does not place you in human hands, but in the hands of the Eternal. He is your security. He is your fortress. He is your shield. When you trust, you are not throwing yourself into the void, but diving into the arms of the one who never fails. Fear is the voice of the shadow, but yes is the echo of the light. And when you choose the light, every shadow dissipates. Your yes has the power to restore battles that seemed lost. It strengthens angels who fight around you. It opens paths that were closed. It raises invisible walls in your favor. Obedience is like oil that anoints and renews strength, not only yours, but of the entire heavenly army that battles with you. You think you are too small to make an impact, but I tell you that your yes is a weapon the enemy cannot resist. It breaks hidden strategies, it dismantles plans of destruction, it dissolves words of accusation, and every time you obey, victory comes closer. do not delay your response. The time is now, the moment is today. The window of opportunity has been opened before you, and your yes is the key to cross it. Every second of hesitation allows the shadow to try to approach, but every act of surrender accelerates the manifestation of the promise. Do not hide, do not refuse, do not keep silent. Your voice, your heart, your surrender are necessary for the decree to be fulfilled in its fullness. And when you say yes, not only is your life transformed, but the entire environment around you is filled with light. I, Archangel Michael, was sent to remind you that your yes is part of the battle we fought for you. Many times, the enemy tried to suffocate your confidence, placing before you doubts and resistance. But every time you draw closer to the eternal in surrender, the flaming sword rises with more strength, and the victory becomes even clearer. I witnessed moments when your surrender released waves of healing, not only upon you, but upon your house, upon your family, upon those who did not even know you were interceding. The power of your obedience is greater than you can measure. Do not deceive yourself into thinking that your yes is too small to touch the heart of the eternal. Every gesture of yours is recorded. Every surrender of yours is honored. Every decision to trust is multiplied. Your yes opens rivers where before there was desert. It makes springs flow where before there was dryness. It lights torches on dark paths. It transforms valleys into gardens. And you will see with your own eyes the fruit of this yes. You will see open doors. You will see lives transformed. You will see miracles happening before you. Not because you deserve it, but because you decided to trust. Surrender is not defeat, it is victory. Yes is not weakness, it is courage. Obedience is not prison, it is freedom. What the world does not understand is that by saying yes to the eternal, you find your true place. You are strengthened, you are directed, you are enabled, and everything that seemed unattainable becomes possible. Your yes is the password that unlocks the impossible. It is the seal that confirms your identity. It is the voice that activates your inheritance. And by saying yes, you enter into a covenant that can never be broken. I, Michael, declare to you, your yes today changes your story forever. It opens storehouses that were kept. It heals wounds that no one knew. It brings into the present promises that seemed distant. And this yes not only echoes in the heavens, but also on the earth. Those around you will see changes. Those who doubted will see miracles. Those who disbelieved will see your life flourish. Because your yes is not only yours, it is testimony. It will be a living reminder that trusting in the eternal is never in vain. And I tell you, remain firm, because your yes today is a seed that will bear eternal fruit. Each tear that fell was a seed watered in the field of eternity. Each pain you endured became the fertile soil where I hid eternal treasures. What seemed like ruin was ground prepared for the birth of something unshakable. Look within yourself. The wound became a garden, the silence became a song, the loss became an altar. Do not forget that nothing in your journey was wasted, because the Most High transforms even the dust of the path into a foundation of victory. With every groan of yours, seeds were sown, and today flowers that do not wither sprout before you. You believed at certain moments that your story was marked only by absences, that your life would be remembered only for the pains you endured in silence. But I tell you that every moment of your struggle was turned into a brick of an invisible temple built within you. When you believed you were only a broken fragment, in truth you were being molded as a new vessel. When you thought you were forgotten ash, you were being prepared as a coal that would rekindle other lives. Nothing in you was lost, nothing in you was without value, nothing in you escaped the gaze of the eternal. The field of your pain was cultivated in secret. While the world saw only your tears, heaven saw seeds being watered. And these seeds do not sprout from one day to the next. They mature in silence, they germinate in the hidden place, they grow in depths that eyes cannot reach. Now it is time to see the sprouting. What seemed to be only suffering now begins to reveal fruit. What seemed to be only emptiness now begins to reveal abundance. What seemed to be only loss now begins to reveal multiplication. Each tear was an investment in the invisible. Each pain was preparation for eternal harvest. I know that the silence seemed cruel to you. There were nights when you believed that no one heard you, that even heaven was quiet. But the silence was not absence. It was the frame for the sound that now echoes. It was the space for your voice to become deeper. It was the time for your soul to learn to listen. And when it seemed that nothing was happening, the invisible was in full movement. The silence was the ground where the promise germinated. Now, from within it, rises the song that can no longer be silenced. You will sing, not because everything was easy, but because everything was transformed. Your loss was altar. Everything you saw escape from your hands became offering before the throne. What you believed was defeat was in truth consecrated surrender. You thought you had been robbed, but in truth you had been offered. And what is placed before God never returns empty. Everything that went away will be multiplied in your life in an unexpected way. What you wept as an end will be remembered as a beginning. What you lamented as emptiness will be remembered as overflow. The altar of your losses was the place where eternity planted the promise of the new. Look within yourself, for you are no longer the same. What once was a wound is now a garden. From what once was pain, flowers of compassion, hope, and strength now bloom. What once was silence is now song. Your voice will be used to set others free. Your experience will be melody to console weary heart. What once was loss is now altar, sacred place where your life became living and acceptable offering. And when others look at you, they will not see only someone who suffered, but someone who blossomed. They will not see only someone who fell, but someone who was lifted up and transformed. Understand that everything you lived was not only about you. Each tear of yours was silent intercession for others. Each pain of yours became a path for others to be healed. Each silence of yours opened space for the voice of God to be heard in places where there was still darkness. Nothing in your story was in vain, because you were not called only to survive, but to be a witness. And your life will be a living sign that even ruins can become palaces, that even dryness can become garden, that even silence can become music. I, Archangel Michael, saw when each of your tears fell like a stone of fire into the river of eternity. I witnessed when each of your pains was transformed into a jewel before the throne. And today I come to declare to you that the time has come to contemplate what was generated from these seeds. You will no longer walk bent under the memory of suffering, but lifted by the harvest of the promise. You will no longer speak as one who only knows pain, but as one who experienced transformation. And your voice will be authority because it was born not from theories, but from deep experiences. Your story is a living testimony that the faithfulness of God does not fail. I, Michael, affirm to you that every altar you raised in the midst of loss will become eternal memorial. It will not be forgotten, it will not be erased, it will not be ignored. It will be remembered before God as pleasing fragrance. It will be remembered before the angels as a sign of perseverance. It will be remembered before the world as proof that you were sustained. And from that altar will arise new fire, not of destruction, but of revival. That fire will consume the pain and transform your life into a beacon that will guide others on the path of hope. Nothing you lived was by chance. Everything was destiny folded by my hand. I bent circumstances, aligned paths, and even used stones to sustain your journey. Look beyond what you see, because the invisible is already working in your favor. The cloud that seemed heavy is now rain of blessings falling upon you. What you called delay was only the perfect rhythm of heaven preparing the earth to receive your victory. And every detail of your life was sewn with threads of eternity that do not break. You did not perceive in many moments how doors closed not to stop you, but to protect you. There were roads that ended before you, not because the eternal had forgotten you, but because there were hidden ambushes beyond them. There were relationships that slipped from your hands, not because you were not worthy of love, but because they would not be part of the harvest that is about to flourish. There were dreams that you saw collapse, not because they were despised, but because they were smaller than those being prepared for you. Every curve was calculated, every detour was cared for, every silence was part of a greater plot. I know that your mind many times cried out for answers. You asked, why now? Why me? Why this way? But today I tell you, all the questions find answer in the love that never failed. Nothing escaped the care of the eternal. Nothing fled from his gaze. Even the pains you believed to be useless were molded to become steps. Every fall taught you to rise with more strength. Every loss taught you to value what is eternal. Every tear opened space so that new waters could run. There was no chance. There was destiny folded, woven with purpose. The stones that seemed obstacles became support for your feet. You walked on rough and hard ground, but they were like a school where you learned resilience. Every stumble was training, every difficulty was strengthening. You do not know how many times you were sustained by invisible hands when you were about to faint. But I tell you, you were kept because there was a promise over you. You were preserved because there was a future traced for you. You were sustained because your life is part of something that goes far beyond yourself. Now look at the cloud that frightened you. It was not a storm to destroy you, but a reservoir to fill you. That very cloud that seemed a threat was in fact a promise. The weight you felt on your shoulders was the concentration of blessings waiting for the right moment to descend, and now they are pouring out. Rain that fertilizes your soil, rain that quenches your thirst, rain that washes your soul. This rain is not common. It is rain of grace, of healing, of abundance. It is the answer to every whispered prayer. It is the return of every tear shed. It is the sign that the new time has begun. Do not look only with your natural eyes. Learn to see with the eyes of the Spirit. The invisible has already moved in your favor. There are connections being made now. There are doors opening now. There are answers arriving now. While you still speak, heaven already acts. While you still wait, the harvest already grows. While you still ask, the answer has already been released. Do not stop at appearances, because the reality that matters is the one that is not seen. And that reality already declares victory over you. I, Archangel Michael, was present in moments when you believed you were alone. I saw when you bent your knees in silence with no words to say. I saw when your heart could only offer tears. I witnessed when you lay down without strength, believing that you would not see the next morning. But I also saw when the order was given that you be sustained, and nothing could stop it. I saw walls of shadow being removed. I saw invisible chains being broken. I saw your life being preserved because you were and are too precious to be left to chance. I, Michael, assure you, you were not shaped by chance, you were shaped by purpose. Nothing in you is waste, nothing in you is empty, nothing in you is forgotten. Everything converges for this time, everything points to this hour, everything is fulfilled in this moment. You are living witness that the faithfulness of the eternal is greater than any shadow. And your story will be remembered not by the pain you faced, but by the rain you received, not by the clouds that frightened you, but by the harvest they fertilized, not by the stones that hurt you, but by the firm path they built for your feet. Lift your eyes now. Do not look back with sadness. Do not look at the present with fear. Do not look at the future with doubt. What accompanies you is not uncertainty, it is promise. What surrounds you is not threat, it is protection. What awaits you is not chance, it is destiny. Your life is a story written in light. Your heart is a burning altar. Your journey is living testimony. Walk in confidence, because the rain that has begun will not cease until every promise blooms before you. Today, heaven registered your name on the check that I wrote with my own hand, a check of trillions, not on paper, but in light, in eternal covenant. Archangel Michael brought it before the altar and delivered it to you, my chosen one. The banker of the earth saw impossible numbers, but I see promises that cannot fit in human vaults. Each digit is health, each zero is overflow, each signature is inheritance that I have prepared for you and your descendants. This is not an earthly document, it is a seal of eternity. It is heaven making visible a decree that had already been established since before your birth. You believed that only human efforts would sustain your journey, but I show you that what you receive today does not depend on earthly works, but on the abundant grace that surrounds you. This check does not represent only resources, but the unlimited favor that breaks barriers. Each letter written on it carries life. Each number is a living promise. Each stroke is a testimony of the faithfulness that never failed. While systems of the earth are confused before the inexplicable, heaven celebrates the revelation that has reached you, because this value is not measured in coins, but in miracles. It is not calculated in figures, but in healings. It is not stored in vaults, but in transformed destinies. The banker who looked at the numbers was left speechless because his mind could not comprehend. But what for him was astonishment, for you is legacy. What for him was confusion, for you is certainty. Because it is not a temporary deposit, it is an eternal covenant. And this covenant is not undone in the face of crises, is not erased in the face of doubts, is not annulled in the face of accusations. It was written in light, signed with fire, sealed with eternity. It is not an empty promise, it is a spiritual reality that manifests on your behalf. And with every step you take, you will see the materialization of this abundance in areas you thought were dead. Each digit of this check represents something specific. One releases health that renews your flesh and your mind. Another opens doors of influence that once seemed unreachable. Another brings restoration of broken relationships, healing bonds and raising families. Another establishes peace in environments that once were marked by war. Each zero multiplies the blessing, not only for you, but for your descendants. This overflow goes beyond your life and invades generations, reaching those who are not even born yet. What you receive today is not limited to you. It is inheritance that crosses time. Do not think this is only symbolic. Heaven does not work with illusions. When the decree is released, the physical world must bow. That is why human systems are confused. That is why men are left without answers. That is why the natural disorganizes before the supernatural. What is impossible for the understanding of the earth is testimony of the greatness of heaven. While they search for explanations, you only need to receive, not with fear, not with doubt, but with gratitude, because it is not about chance, it is about covenant. It is not about luck, it is about destiny. It is not about numbers, it is about promises. I know your mind tries to rationalize, but listen. What manifests today does not fit into calculations. It is not an account that can be made. It is not a sum that can be recorded. What you receive is infinite. It is inexhaustible. It is unchangeable. It is a river that does not dry up. It is a fountain that does not fail. It is a treasure that is not lost. You will not need to fight to keep it, because it was not conquered by your strength. It was delivered by decision of the Most High. And what He delivers, no one can take away. What He signs, no one can erase. What He seals, no one can break. I, Archangel Michael, witnessed the moment when your name was proclaimed at the highest altar. I witnessed when the scroll of light was extended before the throne, and your name shone in flaming letters. And I saw the hand of the Most High write with living fire the figure that surpasses all imagination. That check was not only delivered, it was celebrated in heaven. There were songs, there were trumpets, there was reverence. Because it was not only deposit, it was declaration. Declaration that your life entered a new level. Declaration that your story was marked with abundance. Declaration that you are heir of promises greater than you can contain. I, Michael, affirm to you, receive this check not as a metaphor, but as reality. It represents every victory that will be manifested in your life. It represents every door that will open before you without effort. It represents every healing that will be established in your body and in your family. It represents every opportunity that will arise suddenly and undeniably. It represents every overflow that will touch not only your life, but all those around you. This check is a living covenant. It is testimony of the faithfulness of the Eternal. It is proof that nothing in your life went unnoticed. Now walk as one who possesses this legacy. Do not walk with fear of losing. Walk with the confidence of one who has already received. Do not look to the future with uncertainty anymore. Look as one who already has guaranteed inheritance. Do not speak as one who asks. Speak as one who already possesses. Do not live as one who waits. Live as one who already reaps, because the decree has been released, the check has been delivered, the inheritance has been confirmed, and your life will never be the same.